Hi Ben,
Yo, yo, how you
yeah,
doing?
I see you. I
Yeah,
saw you
good to see you.
just pushed something new there,
Yeah, just added just updated all the suggestions that you had there.
right?
Um yeah, I'm looking at your relations comment. So I'm
Yeah,
debating I'm debating I because I really like a link because it's short and sweet as opposed to relations,
but
but we
the link is fine as well. I didn't want to confuse it with the links spec or the links.
oh, got it. Actually,
That's
that's a
more
good point.
replacing parent with something else.
Right. Okay, yeah. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll figure it out. But
So
we
either
can.
relation or link. I mean, I would be fine with link as well, but I guess it can be confusing then with.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me digest because I'm still digesting like a lot of the comments that you had. Even
Yeah,
though I committed them, but I felt like they do make sense. But I'm still digesting it.
of
But
course.
yeah.
Take your time. That's fine. Hi, Jalander.
Hello. Hi.
Oh,
Hi, Emil. Hi, Ben.
Hello, hello.
so I will share my screen. Okay, there you go. Isn't that okay? So let me see. Should we wait for some more people or should we go on? Please add yourselves to the notes if you have time. Hi, Daniel. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey. So let's get started. We're still lacking Andrea, unfortunately. Is on PTO. I think he will be away this week and maybe even next week as well. Then he's back. So we have to cope without him now. I have some few things planned, but you're very much feel free to propose new things to add to the agenda as well. So we have the link to the roadmap. We can maybe go back to it if we have time and want to later on. New attendees, none so far, even though Daniel is quite new to me at least, but not really new. So just want to mention something about Oktoberfest. I don't see we had any action items, by the way, from last time. So Oktoberfest is coming up in a month, a bit more. There are some links here to Oktoberfest on the CDF website, and also on what we did last year. We had an issue then for Oktoberfest. I think we should create a similar one this time. We might even create a blog post. Actually, Tracy Reagan volunteered to create a blog post for us. So that might replace this or complement it in a way. But with the way we did here last time was that we had a GitHub project where we can see all Oktoberfest labeled tickets from any repository, more or less. So I think we could have some similar setup now this year. So I actually created an Oktoberfest project here as well this year now. So it is there.
Was that linked on the Hacktoberfest
No,
website? Okay. I was just
no, not,
wondering.
not yet. I mean, not yet.
Okay,
So
cool.
when you, I don't think too much is linked here yet, is it? Well, here we have something. Yeah, okay, this is the old one. Yeah, I should probably notify, is it Roxanne maybe or whoever it is now to update this link to the new issue.
Cool. Sounds good.
Uh, I can write a note about that as well. I guess we should link to the issue and not to the project itself. But the issue is not created yet, so the project is another thing. It's more for us, for the follow-up for us on. We had some discussions in the previous meeting on what we should bring in here. There were some ideas from the Microx presentation. I think there was something mentioned. I did some comments, I think, on this one. Yes, because we got some volunteers there. So I added 2 comments about things that could be added based on the Microx presentation. That would be trying to create an async API variant of our schemas. And the other one was using the cloud events binding.
Real quick, Emil.
Yeah.
So I'm clicking the links. So the CDEvents Hacktoberfest Project 2023. I'm getting a 404.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Because I haven't made it a public project then, I guess.
Got it.
Good comment. Thank you. I will change it directly. Settings. Visibility. Look here. Should be public. Thanks for noticing. Now you should see it, hopefully, if you go it again. See it?
Yep.
Yeah.
See it.
Perfect. Yeah, I will take some more look into this because today we just see some few. Let me see. Compared to the Oktoberfest 2022, we don't see the same amount of tickets. Because these are done. Okay, so these were already done last year. So the ones remaining, all of them comes from the CDEvents community. So I actually filtered on. Sorry, where is it now? Here. These are filtered on only the ones that are not done. Or rather, let me show an example. If we go into one of these, I opened the ones from last year, and the ones which were not done, I also set the Oktoberfest 2023 project on them. So that's what I did. That's why we see fewer in the 2023 Oktoberfest listing. So I hope we can get some more tickets in here.
If you give me, I'm wondering if, like, okay, so either I can create a list because I have a lot, like I can think of like 5 or 6 like off the top of my head, but I'm sure if I spent the day I can create like a full list. Or if you want to give me permissions, I can just create the list in here. It's up to you on what you want to do. But like what I was thinking, like the first one that comes to mind is higher level abstractions, like Java, like annotations to make just to make it easier to use the SDK rather than being low level. And the same could be, for Go. So just higher level abstractions, but yeah, completely up to you. I can share the list with you in Slack. Maybe that's a better option.
Yeah, if you're able to set the project yourself directly, I think that's fine. I'm not sure if you might not be. You can try that maybe. Maybe that the one that you talked about is not really a ticket yet.
No, I didn't see it at least.
So is there something here we should say? Run test again. This could, for example, be this could probably be an Oktoberfest ticket, I would say. So I'm not sure, Jalander, maybe you are a maintainer of this repo, or because I'm of course one of the admins of the organization itself. So maybe that's why I can create projects here. Can you see that you can also set projects here then? On, for example, this one.
So this issue actually, so I think there are some tests that are happening currently using schemas, but using examples in the spec repo that is not happening now. So maybe we could solve by looking at this issue probably.
No, I think Jalander, I think he was asking on projects if you can assign it to the Hacktoberfest.
Yeah. I think
Yeah. Sure.
So is it only I who have the access to do this assignment of projects in this group? Maybe it is.
When I click on the projects area, it's like insensitive for me. So
you can't do it. Yeah, but if it's not possible to set it yourselves, you can send me the list and I will add it, of course. Yeah, you don't need to spend time on that now, but please provide lists of tickets. Either add them to this list or you just send them to me in a chat or something, and I will add them.
Okay, cool. Maybe we can, I'll start a thread in Slack, and then we can just have people just add whatever they feel, and I think that'll give at least the biggest visibility.
Perfect. We talked about visualization items as well sometime. I think we didn't really set any specific proposals there, but something around visualization could be made. I'm not sure, but Elander, maybe you have more.
Yeah, one thing, Emil. So last time, that one thing we have discussed and proposed is the CDEvents visualization types, right? So we have like a working integration with the existing CDEvents POC, so that we will be, I think we can demo in one of the CDEvents working group or any other meeting invite, so we can set up and we can demo the working piece of how this visualization is integrated with existing CDEvents POC. Also, like we have integrated GitHub Actions also. I think we have that project is already added in the CDEvent. So we tried integrating GitHub Actions also with our existing CDEvents POC, where Captain Spinnaker and now GitHub also is added. So, and the visualization of these tools also we can use by using this visualization types. We can demo it actually, so that piece of thing we can make it ready for demo.
And then Jalander, real quick, so when you say visualization, because that's a really broad term, are we saying like an image generator? Are we saying like a web service? Like what are we saying here?
Things like this, right?
So would this be a graph, like is this a website, a web service? Is this an image? Like what is this?
Oh, visualization types, like we have last time when we demoed this, so we used something like in a CDEvent aware tool, and another one is like using a Prometheus and Grafana. So we send the events to these different tools. So these are the web application. This is independent web application. This is Eiffel based actually. So what is Emily showing here? So another one is the generic tool. So where Prometheus and Grafana. So that listens to like CDEvents and will display the events in the dashboard of Grafana. So I think that is also the screenshot is here. So yeah.
Okay.
So this,
cool. Okay, that makes sense.
So when we were demoing this, so this is actually the events are faked. I mean, it's not real. So we are just sending an events from the dummy data. But what we have done now is like kind of reference implementation to use an existing POC to integrate with this one and show the live graph or live events, how it is going. So that will be interesting. Yeah.
Nice to you. Thanks, Jalander. Yeah, that's good. So Jalander, do you think is there an update on the visualization you would like to show already today, or would you like to plan it for next time, for example, or?
We can plan it for next time. So because the demo is ready, but we'll have some internal reviews in the team within our team. So, and then probably we can demo anytime next week. If we have any slot.
We have the CDEvents meeting on Monday, which I guess we can use for that if you want, for example.
Sure. Yeah. So Monday will be fine for us.
can I go back to the SDK improvements? I actually don't know if you passed it.
Yeah, I was just running back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So sure, yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. I was just sort of reading the purposes of the existing SDKs, And one use case that we've ended up writing code for on our side was transforming JSON objects into types, like Python types is the most one we had also for Go, but sort of just an making some tooling for passing JSON into well-defined types, and it has some validation as well. And the reason is, we just JSON is the language we use, or the format we use for going from Kafka and HTTP services as well. And we think it was proved to be useful for us. So is that something you think might be of interest to others? Or yeah.
I think that kind of like, oh, sorry, Emil.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what I was like, I think that kind of encompasses code generation. I think touching on, whether or not JSON is the right language model to use for code generation is more of the question. But I have a feeling, swapping, JSON or some other things should, actually, I take that back. I was gonna say it should be easy, but then I think of Swagger. I'm like, maybe not. But yeah, I definitely think, maybe, some more discussion could be had there, because I am definitely interested in, converting, whether it's the JSON schemas or whatever we do decide to be actual types. I'm a huge fan of, especially like if we can get that into Java or Go, because that's what we use internally. But yeah, we also use Python. So if we can get that in Python as well, like that, I think that would be huge. So I would love to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, we have something where it takes the schema definitions that are in the spec and creates Python types. And then we have just this little, what we call factory, where you give it a JSON blob and it can, convert it into a Python object or a Go object. So if, I think it'd be great to push it out for you guys if you find it useful, and of course get feedback on if it looks right and stuff.
Sounds good. Do you think it's enough with what we have in the schema today, or do you think it needs some more information on it? Because the JSON schema has some limitations when it comes to like descriptions and examples, things like that.
I think it's actually okay. We have now, I'm not sure, I didn't write all of it, so we do rely on some, like I forget the tools, but there's some tools to go from schemas to objects and things like that. And so we rely on other tools, and then we might have had some like shims to bridge the gaps, but I can definitely surface that in issues, or just sort of
I think the biggest thing, the biggest issue that I can see off the top of my head with the current JSON schema, not to say that this can not be done in JSON, is when you do code generation there, I don't think there is any, I'm assuming there's no documentation whatsoever, right? Because it's not associated with the JSON. So that's probably something we can think about and potentially add, because that would be the biggest one, especially coming from open source. Like someone's going to be clicking a field and be like, I don't know what this is, So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest issue that I currently see. But other than that, I think it should be good.
I'm curious, in your Python, are you using Pydantic at all?
I don't think so.
Okay, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So Daniel, would you care to write the initial about that?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, that was Python Go, was it?
Yeah, I think we can start with any one language. Python's the one we use most, but yeah, if you can define a type in Python, you can also do it in Go. Not too bad. We have something.
Yeah, I think we should do one interpreted and one compiled, just to be safe.
Yeah.
When you say it now, I think didn't actually Andrea write an issue about this some time ago?
There is a code generation issue somewhere.
I think it is, right?
Okay.
Is it in Go, or what is the case?
I don't remember. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
No, it's not in Python, so
it might be in the Go repo.
Yeah, I think it's Go.
No, it's not in Go.
Oh,
Uh,
check Python.
Unity then maybe. Let me check.
Well, I will say from the Python side, I would love to see this. I think this would be awesome. I'd be very happy to help if I can. Python stuff is fun. So just want to
Yeah,
say.
we lean on, I put it in the Zoom chat. We lean
Oh,
on something, this thing called JTD CodeGen.
the issue was closed, and it looks like it. Okay, I'm gonna link the issue that I found, but it's not fully encompassing what we were talking about, but
Okay.
kind of covers a little bit what we're talking about.
Okay, I can at least reference. I'll read through this issue and then see if we create a new one, or yeah, I'll try to keep following through with this. But yeah, I think the tooling. I think that JTD tool does like the heavy lifting. I'm not sure if we need to do some assumptions or other kind of things, but yeah, it can create types for Python. Go are the two that we tried. I think we even did something in Java, but the people who needed Java sort of were like, oh, we're just going to use Python too. So we never went forward with it, but we can go back.
Yeah, I think we also need to think about, like, I mean, it's good that we're getting the generation of types, but what operations we can also generate. Have you guys looked into that at all?
I'm not sure what you mean exactly by operations, but I think, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just talking about like so for instance for Go, right? Like you generating like the HTTP client, you know, and then like unmarshalling and marshalling, because
Yeah.
that's, especially for a language like Java, there's going to be more code. Like Go and Python are actually probably the more two of the simpler ones, but I'm starting like, because like I said, like most of my
Yeah.
work's in Java. I'm like, in Java, there's going to be a lot more like methods. What I'm getting at is like builders essentially that are going to be needed. Luckily with Go, like you don't have to do much. Like you can just, you know, just attach a client and then, you know, with some JSON dot marshal or unmarshal and you're done, right?
Yeah.
But for Java, it's a little bit more complicated. But one thing that I think would be nice though is outline, you know, like, is there any potential clients that we need to generate? Is there any particular marshaling or unmarshallers that we need to generate? What about custom tags? Like if someone wants to add like a custom tag, you know, to their object, you know, or to their schema, like how do we go about dealing with that as well? So that's a couple things, because, you know, like while, you know, it might solve for our JSON schema, someone might have an internal type that they're like, oh, you know, like we want to add some custom stuff to this. How do we extend that? So that's kind of another thing. But yeah, I think, you know, just starting there, maybe starting with Java might be better than, but Java's such a pain in the ass. Okay, never mind. Yeah, start with Python and Go. I'm just thinking, because Java is such, like, it's the biggest edge case in the code generation. That's usually the more complicated of the languages, that I'm wondering, like, it might be good to start there, because it's going to catch a lot of the gaps that that Python or Go don't have in terms of generation. So
yeah,
but I don't know, it's solvable, so I think it might be fine. Yeah,
one edge case that we did come across is how to figure out how to handle versions, because the JSON schema said like the type field I think contains the version as a enumeration, and so the question of how to, you know, if you have some kind of type, you know, does it handle jumps in versions well? How does it backwards compatible? These kinds of things. So we've already started to struggle with it. So I'd love to put it in an open source place where we can struggle with it together. Yeah. Cool.
So I think what Andrea was doing in that other generation there is that he actually generated the SDK code, source code itself from schemas, from templates, which is now also, I think, Alejandro, are you working on that for Java already now, or?
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
there's an open PR actually, so to
Alright, yeah.
have this integrated, yeah, so this is the one.
So this is about generating the Java code for the full SDK, but not really generating the Java objects from the schemas, if I'm correct, right?
Oh no, from schemas in the sense like it refers to the schema repo to generate the events. So that's the spec what we have right in the spec schemas, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, so that's what it will generate the events, the Java objects using the schemas. Yeah. So
By templates. Then.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another approach, maybe.
Yeah. Using it uses the templates actually, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the only way we could go for this, or if there's an option that you talked about, Angela, as well, to generate objects in another way than using templates, which could be preferable in some ways. But of course, you can elaborate on it, and we can maybe we can showcase it once there is some POC of it. That would be interesting to see, I think.
And Mustache is, yeah, like in my opinion, we should probably, so like, actually, let's create the issue and I'll just post all, because I could go on about this for hours, so I don't want to take up too much time. So yeah, once the issue's up, I'll just post there.
Great. Should we move on, or do we have any more proposals for the Oktoberfest now?
Speaking of code generation, the other thought we had was, would it be nice to have some sort of database schema generation? So given, you know, the schema types, can you get something tables created for you?
Where you want to store events mean?
Yeah, and so if you had some sort of ready-made way where you can get a Postgres table up very simply, it becomes storing, and maybe we can solve some problems there. We haven't gone down that route.
And then also
something
database schema when new version of CDEvents come, I guess, as well.
Yeah, and it would, in some ways it helps us validate things are backwards compatible and doing some testing as well.
So
yep.
Would you look for like a Terraform template that you could easily, or the visualization you could adopt, deploy it, you pick your cloud vendor or provider, and it auto generates all of that for you so you can easily launch it?
Yeah, I think this was one of the goals of the visualization project. Jolanda can correct me, is that make it really easy to either set up or demo something. And if we set up a way to store data, of course, if you're using Grafana, you might not need it, but other kinds of just holding the raw events in a way that, sort of makes onboarding as easy as possible. They don't have to sort of build everything from scratch because the spec itself is good, but a lot of code. And I don't know if that's out of scope of here, but we were thinking of building something along those lines.
It sounds a bit interesting. Then it would be a schema-aware database. Then it's not just a dumb document database, or
yeah, I think Postgres seems like maybe SQLite. I don't know, something where it's very accessible. And sort of make a couple different adapters for what people like, and invite people if they have other, I don't know, types of DBs backends, and then kind of give a very easy onboarding experience.
Yeah, I have quite a lot of experience myself in document databases for event storage. So it's, and then the database itself doesn't know anything about the events syntax really. Maybe just some identifiers that can be indexed in the database, in the document database. But
yeah, that's exactly where we started too.
So then, of course, we will need a more specific schema for that matches the specification, and well, could have its pros, I guess.
Yeah.
So do we need like an infrastructure repository? If we're going to spin this up, we need to be able to point to someone who can easily say, okay, if you want to have visualization, you're going to have to, execute this template that spins it up for you? Or would that live alongside the visualization repository?
So you mean some kind of, is it you mean a demo ground or more of a getting started repository where we can have, or
like if someone wants to spin the visualization, but we need to send it to a database, does that need to be in a template format so they could easily launch it with a few basic commands and it spins up there, other than asking, like the stack name or whatever, something that it'll spin up their Postgres and it'll set up all the connectors and all of the, depending on your cloud provider, you could have people from each one kind of say, for AWS, this is what you need. It runs it, it sets it up, you're ready to go internally to whatever your department or business has, like as a firewall or whatever. It just sets up a general capability.
Yeah.
I think that can be like later. I think we're still
Sure.
early. Yeah, definitely early in the CDEvents life that we don't have too many architectural things right now.
Yeah.
But that's going to change in the future. But yeah, I think it's a little early, early at least for today.
No, absolutely. I'm sorry. I've been out for 2 months. It's been a while.
Yeah, no worries.
So
no
yeah,
worries.
no, I'm coming back like, oh, what are we doing? How can I get involved? So no, that makes sense.
We have done a small experiment like where for the visualization, so we are actually using a ArangoDB. So it's a graph database. So that is where we'll subscribe to the events broker and then we'll store the events in the ArangoDB, and then that will essentially Grafana will read the ArangoDB and then it will display the data. So that's somewhat we experimented.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be picky on the database. Let's just start playing.
And then you will not have a schema for that database, right, Zelander? It will be a generic document or graph database then, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
So it might be aware of some properties in the event spec, maybe, for setting the graph, or
so to set the Arango,
I mean, to create the relations, if you use the graph variant of ArangoDB.
no, actually, so it stores the raw data actually.
Okay, in documents only. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Client hooks for SDK usage, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about the SDKs for a while now. So one of the bigger things I think is having customers that use CDEvents write as little code as possible. And I think one way to achieve that is potentially with client hooks. I mean, it's not going to solve every use case, but I think for the general use case of just creating simple events, we might be able to use, like, for instance, like Java annotations or Go tags to do a lot of the instructions on what to do in terms of the CDEvents, like what to build, what to what to set, and then what to send as well. So it's kind of like an idea that's been like in the back of my mind, but yeah, I can create a GitHub issue for this. I think it's a good starting point too if we're talking about code generation in general, because we can use kind of hook these two things up together at some point. But yeah,
fine, fair enough. Go ahead, create an issue for it. That sounds interesting, and let's see who else will jump on that issue and discuss it.
What, may I ask, do you have a working example of current client hosts that other open source have used? I'd love to learn about this.
Yeah. So one of the bigger ones. So I used to work on the AWS SDKs. So if you look at Java or Go or any of the SDKs, they all use hooks. And so that way, like when you call a AWS operation, it needs to know very little about like your environment or anything of that nature. And like what it does, like authentication and all that, it has all these hooks that are already in there in that. And what's great about it is how it's organized and how it's designed is if it doesn't fit your model, like let's say the hook lifecycle, you can inject custom hooks in any point in the hook lifecycle. So it's really, really an awesome pattern. So that's something I want to see in our SDKs, because it was so beneficial when I was back at AWS. So this is where this idea kind of comes from.
I have used those SDKs, and those are awesome. I know what you're talking about, because I have had to use them for writing the plugin. Thank you. Those are really helpful.
Cool. Yep.
Great. Yeah. Perfect. So please go ahead and create an issue there. So then I see, is it you, Lander, who added some more current PRs there? But maybe you can just spend a few minutes first on the connecting events PR, since I know that Ben has been quite active in working on that, and I've been reviewing it. And I'm sorry, Ben, for disturbing and for picking on things. But I think we're approaching something that resonates quite well with me, at least now.
No worries. Like I said, like I wanted to first create a more just kind of like a rough draft doc and kind of see where kind of have it evolve. And I'm at a place now where, like, as I was submitting this, I'm like, okay, this looks good. Like, this is the first time where I'm like, I was happy with the push. So yeah, I think we're getting close to a working idea, or like a usable idea. So I'm really excited to see this evolve some more. And one of the bigger things, and like I committed that as well. I started using ASCII for flowcharts because there's a Vim plugin. If you guys aren't familiar, it's called Vim Draw, or I think it's called Vim Box. And it is awesome. I really recommend it. And you can make these flowcharts. So I started using that. I'm like, dude, I can just get rid of this image that I have and just use this. So I'm going to use that as well. But yeah, so please take a look. If you haven't done so, please look at this this proposal, because the more feedback we can get early on, the better. The reason why this has taken a few iterations as well, not just from you, Emil, but I've been meeting with so many teams here at Apple, because we want to see CDEvents get pushed, right? And so I've been shimmying along, meeting with people, proposing, giving this proposal, and they're like, oh, we need this, we need that. So that's why this has kind of changed a few times. But I feel like we're now at a point where I think I've satisfied everyone internally. It seems like I've also started to get some happy looks from Emil. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's pretty much the gist of it. It's still, like I said, still in the works, and we're still in the works, as in still addressing Emil's feedback, but I think we're kind of getting to the not to the end points of this proposal. I feel like we're like maybe 3/4 of the way there. So since we're kind of getting closer to the end, please, if you have time, take a look. The more eyes, the better. But yeah.
So if we just stay 1 minute or so on this picture, I don't fully understand it still from my comments there.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna make it an ASCII with a lot more, with a lot more information. But yeah. So basically, what the gist of it is that you would have the SDKs sending these events. So the SDKs, like, and what I should have done is I should have made it more closer to like what it's actually happening, rather than grouping like all of GitHub, all of CI, artifact storage, and so on and so forth. Because like this would be like a GitHub action that's like sending this, for example, and then the CI would be ingesting this and then sending these events as well. But what I can do, which I think will really clear it up, Emil, is that when I'll redo this, and then I'll put tags, kind of explain what it is. Like I say, like service GitHub from type like commit, for example. But if I put tags, kind of giving some description of like what that link is doing, I think it'll give a concrete explanation to what it's doing. I think that'll definitely help. But with that said, so what questions, because I know you said it didn't make sense, but like the only question that I really saw is that you you didn't know whether or not it was a request or response, and you know, these are requests. Was there anything else that that you had?
Yeah, I still haven't fully got what this from and to things are, and but also, isn't it so that the link service would actually just listen to the bus and store the links from there, and then of course you can use the link service to help populate the parent ID field, for example, if you want, if you need to.
Yeah, you can architect this any way you want technically. So this is just one way. I was like, okay, you could do it this way. And I felt like me separating the event bus from the link service might, it would make the diagram easier. That's why I went with this approach. Because if I had the event bus with the link service and then the link storage like behind it, I felt like it's going to be a lot of arrows. But like I said, I obviously, you know, what's easier isn't always the most clear, and it might be confusing if that's not what the typical use cases. So maybe I'll go with the original approach. I was just trying to keep the images as small as possible to get the smallest possible with the most amount of explanation. So yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I would need some more explanation to understand this image in relation to what it, but maybe I also haven't fully got the from and to concept from the text also. So maybe I shouldn't say too much before I actually dig into that more.
Yeah, no, like what I'll do, because like I said, like if you're just reading it, like I see, you know, like you know, coming from this, you know, like you know, it could definitely be very much confusing. What I will do, like I said, is the issue is that GitHub is all grouped in ID1, CI is ID2. I need to abandon that like group. It's gonna be a massive flowchart. I'm just gonna warn you guys, it's gonna be huge. But I feel like it's something that we need to do for, you know, people that are coming into this proposal and understanding it, to understand.
Yeah, maybe a flowchart would actually help and make things simpler in this case. You have actors and you have the calls in the flowchart.
Yeah, that might be a better approach. Okay, yeah, let me try that instead, and we can kind of go from there.
Or a sequence diagram even could be as well.
Yeah, I started with the sequence diagram, and then the errors there even started getting insane. So I was just like, man, there's just so many arrows everywhere. So yeah, that's why I try to go with more something image related. But yeah, I'm a
bit confused on this. So if there's a way to make it clear or restructure it, then I would
right.
pleased.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I'll look at the sequence diagram again, but like I said, there's so many back and forth arrows that I felt like without really generally when I look at an image, like I want to spend like 5 seconds looking at it and understanding the whole picture and then progressing to the rest of the document.
I would as well, but I didn't on this one.
yeah. But the sequence, like the reason why I went with this instead of the sequence, I was like, I had to spend like 5 minutes just understanding like what was happening. So that's kind of like why I went with this. But yeah, but like I said, since this is not getting across the correct message, I will start thinking about better ways to represent this, because obviously, yeah, there's some missed information here, and you're not the first to mention this, Emil. So that's why this is why I kind of put this in the backlog, because I was like, okay, let me first solve all these things and then figure out what I can do with this in a little bit later. But yeah,
it could also be my brain that lacks some connected links somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot missing from this diagram.
Okay. Ben, may I ask, for this diagram, before I was out for a little bit, Emil's he was proposing an idea of having the parent ID and propagating that through all the events to show a clean like story, basically telling a story of what one Git event or a commit, essentially a GitHub event, how that propagates through the entire life cycle all the way to CD. Is this iterating off of that?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, looks awesome. I mean, the image is a bit confusing, but love the idea.
Yeah. No, ignore the image. Yeah, but if you read, and like I said, like please read the proposal if you haven't gone to do so. And especially if you already asked, if you and Emil have already talked about this, then please, you know, like I said, more eyes the better. And then you know, if something doesn't make sense or doesn't fit your use case, let me know, because like I said, I'm coming at it from only an Apple point of view. And
Yeah.
you know, we're not the only company, right? So I want to make sure that we cover everyone's use case. So so please take some time to look at this.
It's been, as I said, it's been 2 months. I've had to move houses, so I don't even
Yeah.
remember half
I'm
that
not,
stuff.
I'm not,
So
yeah, no worries, no worries. Glad to have
whatever
you
you say
back.
is true. It looks
Yeah.
great. I will
Okay,
just tell
awesome.
you
Thank
that.
you.
Great. So thanks, Ben, again for
Mhm.
keeping up with this, and good luck improving it.
Yeah.
I will try to review it as soon as you have something new there.
All right, sounds good.
But perfect. And I will review the latest comments, the latest changes you did just before the meeting as well. I haven't done that yet. Okay, let's move on. So the last ones here, was it you, Andrew, who added this in the end, or was it Devin, or?
Oh yeah, so I have added, so there are a couple of open PRs that I wanted to get the traction of review. But yeah, so this is the Java SDK generator is the one, so that is pending for a long time. So I'm checking with the
It's this one, yeah.
Andrea, and yeah, so I think I need to get this wrapped if any more comments are there. Andrea's, yeah.
So are you waiting? Has someone requested changes
Yeah,
now?
I requested Andreas and Andrew to get this approved. So if no other comments are pending, so that's what. Like,
Okay. Because Andrea will probably not see this until 2 weeks from now, since he's not back yet. But do you think we can expect Andrew to do this? Andres, sorry.
Andres, yeah. So that's what I commented. Requested review from Andres.
Yeah. Let's hope that he can make some progress on this then. Because I haven't looked into it myself. I'm not sure if I should, but yeah. Maybe. If you don't get any attention from Andres either in a couple of days, you can ping me and I can see if I can take a look at it.
Yeah, sure.
So okay.
So for other set of peers, I think I already pinged Ben to get reviewers added to this peers, because there is no movement of the peers and they're not reviewed for quite a long time. I think the half of the peers, that is to receive the CDEvents. I mean, like to consume the CDEvents by using webhooks. So that is, the PRs are merged into the Spinnaker, so that will be available in the Spinnaker 1.30 of release. And this, the second part, is consuming, I mean, like producing CDEvents using CDEvents notifications. Yeah, so these needs a review, and reviewers needs to be added. So I don't have the permission to add any of the reviewers. Probably Ben will have it that.
Yeah, I can add some. So I remember when I was looking at these, I saw that a commit was being added like every other day. That's why I ended up not reviewing it. But like, are we sure like no commits are going to be added? Are we at a final stage?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll ping some people and then see who can take some time. I can also review this and then we can go from there.
Sure. Thank you.
For pull requests, do we take advantage of draft pull requests and then converting them to a full pull request when they are ready for full review?
Actually, my proposal was originally a draft. So yeah. I mean, I love the draft concept. So I think it's really nice.
I just learned about it like 2 weeks ago. So I've been trying to like, we should do that.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome. I particularly use it when I just want to show people like an idea, you know, like the approach that I'm going with. But a lot of the times, like, you have to be careful, because if people start reviewing your draft, then you want to be like, hey, this is just a draft, you know, don't waste your time on it. But yeah, that's like the biggest issue that I've seen with drafts.
I also like drafts, so I think it's good to use them. And as you said, you can be used to show them in a meeting like this and put it up there and show it, and then change it to the full PR when it's time for review. That's good. Great. That's the end of the agenda. Anything else on your others' minds? Evan, anything? No?
No, just getting back into the swing of things. I have the Python. I've had the Python sitting there ready to go on my machine.
Yeah.
I just had to rebuild my machine. There's a lot. I'm gonna get that out there.
You
The
rebuild
code
your
is
machine
sitting.
as well, not just your house. You rebuild the machine as well. Or
Yes. Oh, new motherboard. All of this had an issue. It's been a fun 2 months. I'm just gonna say that. So yes, I will get that out there. I have it backed up to my SD. So anyway, yes, I will get that out there. I don't even think it needs to be in the Hacktoberfest, but other than that, no, all is good. I got so excited when I saw the visualization repository. I was like, oh, it's moving fast. So I got very excited.
cool. Okay, so if nothing else, I guess we can look forward to the visualization demo next week then. I think we can have it on Monday on the SIG meeting next week. That should be fine,
Mhm.
I guess. So that's the agenda there.
Yes.
Okay. If nothing else, I guess we can close for today then.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you all.
All right. Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
nice time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.